Hi, this is Hank Davis from SmartSubscribePlugin.com. Turn website visitors into podcast subscribers. I'm here with my review of the Rodecaster Pro. I've watched a lot of reviews on the Rodcaster Pro, and I seem to have had a different experience than most of the reviews out there. So I wanted to chime in and give you my take on some of the pros and some of the cons on this device that I've found so far. Let's keep it positive first, and I'm going to go down the pros. First, if you have the right operating system, this thing installs like a breeze. I'm talking super fast. Put a pin in this one because we're going to come back to this, because when I got the device, I was on Windows 7. So we'll come back to this in the cons area. The next pro, the sheer volume of items the Rodecaster Pro includes for $600, to me, is insane. So I cannot fault them one bit for this device costing $600. It should probably cost more. As some people would say, $600 is a con. In my opinion, $600 is a pro. The onboard recording is clean and exceptional. I was very taken back when I played back one of my recordings from the onboard micro SD card. Very clean and solid. Also, being able to play back the recording on the device is a great feature. So I was able to listen back to the items I recorded without having to always take the card out and get it to the computer and so on and so forth. So that's very helpful. The advanced channel setup is helpful for people who want more control. I really think they did a great job of making the interface on this device very easy to navigate. So you can get in there and out of there with no troubles. Love it. The touchscreen is flawless. It's clear and it's easy to navigate, as I said. I really like how they put this together. When you're modifying a channel, the channel's light gets brighter. So then you know that that's the one you're messing with. So if we get in here and we're messing with channel 1, you see how it gets a lot brighter. I apologize for the lighting in here, but we're going to put a pin in this topic right here because I'm going to come back to it in the cons. The limit maximum volume setting is a welcomed addition. I really like that feature, and I hope that becomes more of a trend as we see more devices try to copy this device. Being able to adjust the brightness of the screen and controls, that's pretty nice. We're also going to put a pin in that one because in the cons, I do have a gripe about the lighting of this board. And I just want to give a standing belly clap for those of you who don't know. It's when you have a webcam and you stand up out of your chair and the webcam obviously cannot keep scrolling up to your face. So it's fixated on your stomach and chest region as you clap. But I want to give them a standing belly clap for the gigantic, this guy right here, red button. And then also the estimated amount of recording time for the SD card and the recording timer. Huge kudos on all of that. Very well done. The built-in sound effects pad is a slick addition. No, I said it was a slick addition. Thank you. Thank you. So I can see podcasters going way too far with that right there. But let's get to the cons. And some of these I haven't heard other people talk about, so I want to mention them here. Number 1 con for me, Windows 7 is not compatible? Say what? I can't wrap my mind around Windows 7 not being supported. It's usually a real simple fix to make all items compatible with Windows 7, 8, and its variations, and 10. So when I got the device, it sat here for 2 days because I didn't read the fine print. So that's my fault. But come on, man. Every other interface I've ever plugged in just works. And I run Windows 7 because it's rock solid and it's a wonderful, wonderful operating system. But for this review, I had to switch to Windows 10, which thankfully I had already purchased in the past. But a really strange oversight there. The next con, I get a high-pitched whine when I'm monitoring my signal from an external device. So if I plug in, there's some outputs in here, and I apologize for the camera shot and the lighting. Somebody's been messing with my equipment, and I couldn't find everything I needed to do this properly. But there are some outputs on the back. And when I plug those in, and I plug them into my Adderall digital recorder, just to have a secondary backup, just in case. And there's this terrible high-pitched whine that you do not hear from the headphone jacks. So you do hear it when you plug your headphones into the Adderall or the digital recorder. Now, how I was able to overcome that, I used one of the headphone jacks. I used the little headphone jack on the front. And then I just took that out and put it into my digital recorder. And I'm sure you could do the same with any of the 4 headphone ports on the back. So that was my workaround because I want a backup, and I don't necessarily want a software backup on my computer, but I may end up having to do that. So another one that I can't quite explain, maybe it's my setup, my cables, something to do with me. I don't know, but I haven't really seen anybody talking about that. So maybe it is something with the unit or something along those lines. I'm going to reach out to Rode and try to get some clarification on that. Another con that I don't like, and this is very, very nitpicky, is when you hit the mute button, even though you may not have been able to hear me, the meter was still jumping. So why is this bothering me? It makes me forget to unmute. Because I was sitting there last night doing a test, and I hit the mute button, forgot about it, went back to speaking, and I must have went on for 15, 20, 30 seconds before I figured out, like, oh my goodness, I'm not getting a signal from my external digital recorder. So I don't like that it still shows me the signal on there. I mean, maybe they all do that and I've just never paid attention, but it just seemed odd to me to see the meter jumping and then I go, oh, I've not been recording. And that brings me into my next con. The solo and mute buttons are always lit. All these buttons are always lit. And that makes it hard for me to see some of the buttons standing out. Like, I've got the room a little bit darker, but yesterday when I was doing my test, it didn't appear to be that much brighter than the other ones. Now, I could go into the settings and I can turn the brightness all the way down, and then the color disparity shows out, but you're losing a lot of the effect if you turn down the buttons. Because it's cool. My next con, the Aphex processing seems to be a bit overdone, and in my opinion, it does not match the legendary Aphex quality. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of using an Aphex channel strip. Those things are phenomenal. So when I read that this is going to be powered by Aphex on board, as it says on here, I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be phenomenal. But anything other than just having it on soft, it sounds a little too processed to my ears. Could just be me. I don't know. But I don't feel like it sounds like the Aphex sound that we love. And I'll also say it would have been cool if they had a little more granular control over the processing. So just give me the digital version of the buttons and let me turn knobs. I think a lot of us would have been happier with that. And the next one is another nitpick by me. I've been editing audio since 2006. And I feel like when this gate is on, that I can hear it closing every time I stop talking. I don't know if you've experienced it, if you have the Rodecaster Pro, or if I can get rid of it in post or whatnot. But when I've been doing tests, I've been noticing that I feel like I can hear the gate closing after I stop speaking, and it is a little distracting when you have over-ear cans on. My next con is having to remove that SD card is pretty lame. It's a micro SD card. And the fact that you have a USB channel on here, but it can't, for some reason, allow me to just plug in and transfer the file without having to move that card. It's a little annoying, and it's, in fact, lame. Another real nitpick is, even though they don't really present this device as a mixer, and I'm going to talk about if it's an interface even in a minute, but even though they don't present this as a mixer, I still wanted some different types of connections, like RCA inputs. Just something simple like that. And I know that is a very small use case for needing RCA inputs and such, but I think they could have trimmed some of the fat in here and gave us an RCA input. Next, the USB-C connection is stiff and it never feels secure to me. So when I first put in the USB-C connector, I wasn't even sure if I put it in the right way. I thought to myself, maybe I put it in upside down? Let me try it again. And it just felt really stiff, and it never feels like it's secure. It could just be my unit, or it could just be me. It does feel real stiff. It's not even like plugging in a phone to me. Another con for me are the faders. The faders feel really cheap, like some Fisher Price faders. Like, these are wobbly and plastic. Like, I'm really concerned about breaking one or damaging them. If something drops, like this camera falls over again and lands on them, I'm thinking I'm done. Overall, to me, this just has less control than a typical mixer. A typical mixer that has all the bells and whistles. A little less control than that. And there's no, like I said before, no granular control over the compressor, the gate, the de-esser, the AFX processing. It's sort of like all or nothing. You want it on? Off. I turn that gate off, and boy, don't turn it off. So is all I'm going to say. In my personal experience, that gate, I turned it off, and my goodness, there was some noise. But I'm not in a treated studio, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm really not sure why they added 2 channels for connecting phones, and obviously with the Bluetooth, you can connect more than a phone. I connected my girlfriend's laptop to it just to test Skype through that, which I don't recommend. Cool features, but I could have done away with either one of them for me, and they could have focused more on the USB and then gave me some other type of input on here. But the final con I have is this lack of mix minus is what I've been hearing on the USB channel. And it just boggles my mind. Like, Rode, who did you speak to? What podcaster did you speak to that said, you know what, I need to connect a phone via TRRS, and that has mix minus. I need to connect phones via Bluetooth, and that has mix minus. But the USB channel in which I will be connecting to Skype, Discord, or insert other service here does not have mix minus? That boggles my mind. Overall, pretty impressive device. The build quality is pretty good. I'm a sucker for LEDs and good lighting. I think this is built for a different type of podcaster. Whoever they spoke with or whoever's on their development team or whatever must do a lot of hive mind podcasts where you have a group of people in the same room. But the typical podcaster that I've interacted with over my almost 13 years of podcasting would be somebody connecting via Skype, usually alone, or maybe they have one other person locally. So the 4 seems a little overkill. Hopefully at some point they have a smaller device. For me, I need a smaller format, which is usually why I stick with an audio interface and such. But outside of that complaint, having faders is cool. I wish there were a few more pads to trigger sound effects, but having the 8 pads is cool. But I do TV show and film podcasts at tpenetwork.com. And for any given episode, we could have 5 pieces of voicemail feedback. And then there's certain effects I want to be able to play. So I typically end up using a battery operated digital recorder, and I'd be able to come in this channel here and plug that in. And then I'd have all my stuff. I wouldn't be limited to just the 8. I haven't tried all my little routing secrets and hookups yet, but I'm going to try some other things to see if I can bring Skype in on a different channel other than this USB and other than any of these final 3 channels. I'm not going to bring them in on that. I want to see if I can bring one in on the mic like I used to do on my mixer. So I'm going to do some testing with that and see what I come up with. But I'd say a great attempt, and yay podcasting. I mean, yes, it took, 15 years to get companies to start really going all in. And if Rode has gone all in like this, who knows? Maybe they'll make it smaller format. Maybe it'll just be for 1 person locally or 2 people locally or whatnot. And we'll get a whole suite of different devices that we may have never gotten had Rode stayed on the sidelines and not went all in on this Rodecaster Pro. You know, for most people, $600 isn't cheap. And the fact that they keep selling out, that should tell you something right there, that Rode is on with a winner, and other companies are going to see that. And they're more than likely going to lean into podcasting, which is great for all of us podcasters that love fun gear. If you want to check me out, you can find me at tpenetwork.com. That's where I do all my TV and movie fan podcasts. Or if you run WordPress and you'd like to turn website visitors into podcast subscribers, check out my Smart Subscribe plugin located at smartsubscribeplugin.com. And coming up soon, I'm going to have a free how-to podcast guide, and I'm going to do another audio editing course on Udemy to update my old course. And I'm creating another course that is going to be for storyteller podcasters, how to edit that all together and make it sound like the person is really listening to an audio drama. So stay tuned for all that and much, much more. Thanks for watching.